Swami Mahārāja Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai Nitya Lila praviṣṭo Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrājaka Jajashto Saraswati Srimad Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki Sakshad Vairagyamurti Śrīla Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu ki Nama Charja Shila Haridas Thakur ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki Vrindavan Dham ki Navadip Mayapur Dham ki Purushottama Shitra Jagannath Puri Dham ki Ganga Mai ki Jamuna Mai ki Bhakti Devi ki Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Shri Shri Radha Madha Bhashta Sakhi ki Shri Shri Panchatattva ki Shri Prahlad Nashinga ki All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudidayet. This morning we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, Text 5. Tāvat kalir prabhavet praviṣṭo pīha sarvataḥ yāvad mahān urvyām ābhimanyava eka-rāṭ tāvat kalir prabhavet praviṣṭo pīha sarvataḥ yāvad mahān urvyām ābhimanyava eka-rāṭ. Please chant. Tāvat kalir prabhavet praviṣṭo pīha sarvataḥ yāvat mahān urvyām ābhimanyava eka-rāṭ. Tāvat kalir prabhavet praviṣṭo pīha sarvataḥ yāvad mahān urvyām ābhimanyava eka-rāṭ. Tāvat kalir prabhavet praviṣṭo pīha sarvataḥ yāvat mahān urvyām ābhimanyava eka-rāṭ. Mataji. Tāvat kalir prabhavet praviṣṭo pīha sarvataḥ yāvat mahān urvyām ābhimanyava eka-rāṭ. praviṣṭo pīha sarvataḥ yāvad mahān urvyām ābhimanyava eka-rāṭ. Tāvat, so long, kalir, the personality of Kali, na, cannot, prabhavet, flourish, praviṣṭaḥ, entered in, api, even though, iha, here, sarvataḥ, everywhere, yāvat, as long as, īśaḥ, the Lord, mahān, great, urvyām, powerful, Abhimanyu, the son of Abhimanyu, eka-rāṭ, the one emperor. Translation: as long as the great powerful Abhimanyu remains the emperor of the world, there is no chance that the personality of Kali will flourish. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As we have already explained, the personality of Kali had entered the jurisdiction of the earth, of this earth, long ago, and he was looking for an opportunity to spread his influence all over the world. But he could not do so satisfactorily due to the presence of Mahārāja Parīkṣit. That is the way of good government. The disturbing elements, like the personality of Kali, will always try to extend their nefarious activities, but it is the duty of the able state to check them by all means. Although Mahārāja Parīkṣit allotted places for the personality of Kali, at the same time he gave no chance for the citizens to be swayed by the personality of Kali. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shannivari Paschacha Deshatarne Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujugoshi Jiva Gopalako Vande Nantadbhutashayam Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhum Nichopi Yat Prasadat Sad Bhakti Shastra Pavartaka Nityanandam Aham Nomi Sarvanandakaram Param Harinamakadam Devam Avadhuta Shiromanim Vindaye Tulsi Dibbaye Priyaye Keshavasya Krishna Bhakti Padidevi Satyavachay Namo Namo Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha Kalpati Vrishcha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about government. What government do we have, actually? And what are they doing? They're intentionally diverting society to materialistic life. This is their intention, to make people like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. Svavidvara hoshtakarai samstuta purusha puru. Bhagavatam says, if the dogs and hogs and camels hold an election, who will they elect? They'll elect another dog, hog, camel, and ass. And what is their objective in life? Only sense gratification. Nothing more. Nothing more than that. Just sense gratification. So this is the symptom of the age of Kali, where there's government in the name of government. Government means to uplift people, to free them from the influence of the modes of material nature, to deliver them to the kingdom of God. And this is the responsibility we saw in the personality of Mahārāja Parīkṣit. Devotee governor. Someone who knows what is the value of life, what is the value of the human form of life. So in the absence of Mahārāja Parīkṣit, what has happened in the world? Kali has entered. As soon as Lord Krishna left, Kali entered. And now in this age, and this is just only 5,000 years into Kali. Only 5,000 years. What will it be in the end? Bhagavatam 12th canto describes also. Lavanya kesha dharanam, that a man will think he's very beautiful, he has long hair. Brahmanya sutra evahi, a brahmana means anyone who wears a thread. Dampatye, that marriage means sexual attraction. Whole list of the anomalies of Kali Yuga are there in 12th canto of Bhagavatam, due to the absence of a personality like Mahārāja Parīkṣit. In the absence of such a personality, what is to be done? Whose responsibility is it to introduce the principles of God consciousness? Whose responsibility is it? It's our responsibility. the devotee's responsibility. To introduce those principles that will cause kali to flee, screaming. And how do we do that? All the things that Srila Prabhupada taught us. Book distribution, prasadam distribution, opening temples, Harinam Sankirtan. Book distribution. In the history of Christianity, they were an unknown, like the Ritviks of the Jewish religion. Just unknown cult of Judaism. Until the printing press was invented. When they started printing the Bible and distributing the Bible, Christianity took hold all over the world. They have a group in America called the Gideon Brothers. And the Gideon Brothers distribute free Bibles everywhere in every language of the world. Christianity spread by book distribution. Communism spread by book distribution. An unknown philosophy until they started printing. Nazism spread by book distribution. Book distribution is very, very powerful because what is it? We're giving Krishna. When we give Bhagavatam to someone, when we put Bhagavad Gita in someone's hands, what are we giving? We're giving Krishna directly. This is the paper incarnation of the Lord, like we have on our altar. Everyone knows? Deity is stone, wood, metal, but is directly Krishna. What is this Bhagavatam? Idam Bhagavatam nama Purana Brahma Samitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishrayasaya Lokasya Danyam Swastya Namat. This is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead in paper and ink. And when we give this to someone, we're giving them Krishna. And it elevates them. It gives knowledge. This is the amazing thing of Bhagavatam. 3 wonderful things happen when we read Srimad Bhagavatam. First thing, we get knowledge. Who is the personality? What is God? People don't know. They have no idea who is God or what are his activities. Does he have a kingdom? Does he have a world? Does he have a place to live? Or is he some homeless guy wandering on the street with a sack over his shoulder? Is he starving or does he eat food? If he eats food, what kind of food does he eat? If he lives in a beautiful place, what kind of place is it? Does he have friends or nobody likes to be with him? He's up there lonely in the kingdom of God. Does he wear clothes or is he naked? People don't know about the activities, personality of God because they have not read Srimad Bhagavatam, who describes the personality of Godhead, the person who wears clothes, who eats food, who has friends, who has a beautiful eternal kingdom, Goloka Vrindavan, because they've never touched this knowledge that is common to us. They're in ignorance. So the first thing, the first effect of reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, Ramayana, Mahabharata, is we gain practical knowledge of the personality of Godhead, jnana. More than that, we develop the heart is purified. Shinvatam swakata Krishna punya shavana kirtana hridyan tasto yabhadrani vidunoti suritsatam. The heart is purified of all abhadrani, lust, greed, anger, fear, malice, hatred, envy. All the things that afflict human society are cleansed from the heart just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Shantatam shadaya nityam grinatas cha svachishtitam kalina nati dirgena bhagavan vishate hradi. Bhagavatam also says that the personality of God, it is manifest in your own life just by hearing, by pouring this immortal nectar of the sound, of the knowledge of Krishna's activities. This is the second thing. First thing, we become knowledgeable of the personality of God. And second thing, the heart is purified. If the heart is not purified, what is the question of spiritual life? There are many intelligent people, sometimes Sanskrit professors, they study this Bhagavatam. But they study it, why? Just for the Sanskrit. They're not interested in Krishna. They have no interest in Krishna. But by hearing attentively the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, our heart is purified. And we get practical knowledge of the personality of Godhead. Third thing, most important thing, when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, personality of Godhead himself takes notice. This person wants to hear about me. He wants to be my devotee. And he gives all help to that person. So Srimad Bhagavatam is our means of conquest. Yasyam vai shoyamanayam Krishna parama purushe bhakti utpadyata pumsam shoka moha bhayapaha, Bhagavatam says. Just by giving oral reception to Bhagavatam, shoka, moha, bhaya, fear, lamentation, illusion are destroyed. And bhakti utpadyate pumsam, bhakti wells up in our heart. Is there any greater benefit? There is no greater benefit than simply hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada said, book distribution. Distribute Srimad Bhagavatam. Distribute this knowledge to society. Because this can change the tide of Kali Yuga and drive the influence of Kali out of society. So, prasadam distribution. Prasadam distribution was also an important program for Srila Prabhupada, even if it meant cutting an apple in pieces and distributing pieces of apple. Or we used to do prison programs in North Carolina. And they would make paper garlands, paper flower garlands, and we distribute pieces of candy. Because that's all that's available. That's all that's allowed in the prison. But it's prasadam distribution. So whether it's pieces of candy or it's mass prasadam distribution at Hare Krishna festivals, this is an important thing. Why? Because this prasadam is also Krishna. We say, this Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Swapa Pandivatam Rajan Vishwaso Naiva Jayate. Prasadam just doesn't mean some cut up fruit. An atheistic person will say, this is cut fruit and this is cut fruit. What is the difference? It's cut fruit. This is why they think like this. Swalpa Punyapatam Rajan, O king, because they've accumulated very little punya. They're brain dead, foolish people who are unable to understand the principles of spirituality that God eats. Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya parachati tadaham bhakti paritam ashnami prayatatmana. If we offer something to him, he eats that. And that food stuff is sanctified. When we eat it, it not only nourishes our body, but it sanctifies our consciousness. And it's so if we can introduce this thing, offering food, such a simple thing, to society. Teach people, because everyone's eating. Every day we eat, twice, thrice, we have to eat. Everyone's cooking and eating. So if we can introduce this principle of offering something to Krishna, the smallest thing, patram pushpam palam toyam, he doesn't need it. Is he in need of water? Mediterranean Sea is there, Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Caspian Sea, Red Sea, and Indian Ocean, billions and trillions and unlimited gallons of water just on this planet. Why is he asking for water? Does he need fruits? In due course of time, the trees are overburdened with fruits and flowers. He doesn't need water, fruits. Does he need a deepam naivedyam? What does he want? Yome bhaktya parachtati. So if we can introduce this principle of offering something to God, to please him, to get his mercy, society can be changed. Next verse says, Shubha Shubha Palariva Mokshasi Karma Bandhanai Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma Vimukto Mam Upaishasi. If we live in this, next verse is Yat Kuroshi Yadashnasi Yastuhosi Dadasi Yat Tapashyasi Kunteya Mat Kurushva Mararpatam. It says, not just this Patram Pushpam Phulam. Some people think, Lord's asking for fruit and water. So I'll give him food and water, and I'll take puri and halava and pakora and puri and... No, we should yat kurush, yadas, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever austerity you perform, mat kurushva, madarpanam, do as an offering to me. So if we introduce this small thing of offering something to Krishna, people start to think, maybe I should do something more. Maybe I should give money to the temple. Maybe I should chant Lord's name, because their consciousness becomes purified. The next verse says, Shubha Shubha Palarivam Mokshase Karma Bandhanai Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma Vimukto Mam Upaishasi. By this activity, working for Krishna, Mat Kurushva, Madarpanam, offering to Krishna, making Krishna the center. one becomes free from shubh and ashubh, pious and impious. Moksha se karma bandhanai, he becomes free from karma. And ultimately, he comes back to me. Vimukto mam, he's liberated. And mam upaishyasi, he comes back to me, to my kingdom, by such a simple thing as eating. So we should teach this thing, prasadam distribution in your own home, and give prasadam out from the temples. So book distribution, prasadam distribution, opening temples. This is also Prabhupada's assault, his campaign against Kali Yuga, to open temples. Because we can say temple worship is for kanishtas, for neophyte devotees. True. But it's for the masses of people to get some impression that God is a person. If you want to give something to God, if you want to give rasgulla to God, what do you do with it? If there's no temple, you toss it in the air. Hey, Bhagawan, here, catch. Teach the principle of worshipping the deity. Pratima nahi tumi sakshat bhajendra nandana. The deity is not an idol. We reject this word idol. It's a pejorative word in the English language. We say murti, archa avatar, personality of God who comes before us in material elements. That we can see him, we can worship him, we can bow down, we can manmana bhava mad bhakto, madhyajimam namaskuru. We can think of him, we can offer our pranam, we can give him something, we can offer our life to him. This is the principle of deity worship. Srila Prabhupada said, when at the deity installation in Los Angeles, California, he said, this Krishna will speak to you. Why is he not speaking to us? Why isn't Krishna speaking to us? Because we don't want to hear what Krishna has to say. We want to hear what our mind says. We want to hear what our senses say. But Krishna speaks to the pure devotee. There's a nice story about Srila Prabhupada. Standing in Los Angeles temple, one wonderful devotee, my godbrother, thought when Prabhupada comes, I'm going to position myself right on the sidewalk. The car is going to stop here. I'll be standing right there. And when I can open up the door for Prabhupada, and I'll get perfect darshan of Srila Prabhupada. The devotee said, Prabhu, there's service to do. You have to do your service. Oh, plans foiled. But when Prabhupada got out of the car, 100 devotees poured into the temple, and by the force of the crowd, he found himself standing right next to Srila Prabhupada. Krishna's mercy, by accepting service. So he was watching Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada had his hands folded, and he's speaking to Rukmini Dwarkadish. And he's asking him, I see you're very nicely dressed today. Do the devotees give you dress like this all of the time? Silence. Krishna speaking back to him. Oh, very good. Are they offering you nice bhoga? Silence. Krishna is replying back to him. He's speaking with the deity. And actually the whole Indian yatra began with Rukmini Dwarkadish telling Prabhupada, you go and preach in India. I'll give you a temple 10 times, 100 times better than this temple Los Angeles has gone. Prabhupada said, no, I don't want to go. Because this is my world headquarters. Where so many devotees are coming, book distribution is going on, Harinam Sankirtan is going on. I don't want to go. Krishna said, no, I want you to go. I'll give you a temple 100 times better. That is our Krishna Balaram Mandir ki jai, Krishna Balaram ki jai. So Dwarkadish was speaking to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was arguing because that is Ragamarg. In the kingdom of God, it's not that all the devotees are like this, like in Vaikuntha, bowing down with awe and reverence and very carefully approaching the Lord. But they're arguing with him. They're wrestling. Sridham is wrestling Krishna to the ground, pinning him to the ground. And they're stealing food from Krishna's plate. Can you do that with Lord Nrsimhadev? Take one laddu from Lord Nrsimhadev's plate, pop it in your mouth. Sit in front of, the pujari sitting in front of Radha Madhav. Radha Madhav, one for you, one for me, one for you, one for me. This is what's going on in Goloka. We're worshipping according to Vidya Marg to get there. You can't jump over. But this is the intimacy of Goloka. So Prabhupada he exemplified, he personified that intimate relationship with Krishna. And he argued with him. But Krishna had his way. Prabhupada came to India, and what was the result? Krishna Balaram Mandir, Juhu, and Vrindavan, Mayapur. I'll give you temple 100 times better. So we open temples. This is our assault, our campaign against Maya. So the masses of people can see how many people are coming here. Temple of Vedic Planetarium is not even open, and lakhs of people are coming. Can we imagine how many people will come when it's actually open? Are we ready for that? Ask yourself, are you ready for that? Because that is the future. That is the future of what Prabhupada set in motion by installing Jagannath in San Francisco, ISKCON. How did they do it? With candles. No big swaha, swaha, swasti, swasti, govinda, swasti, no, sucha, sucha, blah, blah, blah. Just candles. All the devotees, all the hippies came with candles, offered candle to Jagannath, and had kirtan. Because kirtan is actually our installation. When Krishna Balaram were installed in Vrindavan, Prabhupada said, I was obliged to spend a large amount of money and hire some pandas to come and do the ceremony for 3 days. But as far as I'm concerned, the installation was Harinam Sankirtan. By chanting ecstatic Harinam Sankirtan in front of Krishna Balaram. Mantratas tantratas chiddam deshakalar vastuta sarvam koroti nischidam anu sankirtanam tava. There may be, this is Kali Yuga. Where will you find something pure? Where will you find pure fruit, pure water, pure ingredients to worship the Lord? Practically they're unavailable. But anu sankirtanam tava, sarvam koroti nischidram. All inauspicious things, all obstacles, all impurity is destroyed by Harinam Sankirtan. So Prabhupada said our deity installation was Harinam Sankirtan. And will of the pure devotee. That Prabhupada willed that Krishna Balaram come to this beautiful place, Raman Reti, and be worshipped. Of course, now it's become more like, it's not Raman Reti anymore, it's like concrete Reti. It used to be that you could stand on top of Krishna Balaram Mandir, Janmashtami Prabhu would probably remember, and see a big forest in back of the temple, and the peacocks flying from the trees, one tree to another. Now it's all concrete. This is Kali Yuga also. So we open temples to introduce the principle that God is a person. You can dress him, you can offer him arti, you can feed him, you can bow down to him, you can pray to him. This is deity worship. Opening temples where the masses of people can come and get some impression that God is a person. So prasadam distribution, book distribution, opening temples, and Harinam Sankirtan, our most powerful weapon against the onslaught of Kali Yuga. Because this Nam Sankirtan means to introduce Krishna himself. Lord Chaitanya didn't come to introduce deity worship. He didn't come to introduce yajna. He didn't come to introduce anything but this Nam Sankirtan, Harinam Sankirtan. Jagyai Sankirtana prayaya jantihi sumedasa. This is the principle, because this will cleanse our consciousness, cleanse our heart, awaken love of God. And what was it? Taramajje Sarvashrishta Nama Sankirtana. That this, of all the 9 processes of Krishna Bhakti, is the most powerful. It gives prema. Naraparadi Nama Loyali Paya Prema Dhana. This Nam Sankirtan gives love. You'll not get love from yajna. You'll get not love from doing prayers or this, so many processes. We get prema. Prema Pumartha Mohan, the highest objective of human life, comes from Nam Sankirtan, congregational chanting of the holy name of Krishna, because it has this remedial effect. It cleanses all the inauspicious things from our heart. Now there was another great king. We're reading here about Mahārāja Parīkṣit. His name was Kulashekar Alwar. He was a powerful king who had bhava, intense bhava for Rama. So much so that the court pandas had to be very careful about what section of Ramayana they read in his presence. So one day, the son of the regular reader was there, and he neglected to inform his son about this principle. Be careful what you read, because it will invoke particular bhava and the nature of the king. So he didn't know when he was reading the story how Suparna had her nose chopped off, and then 14,000 Rakshasas came to attack Rama. So when the king heard this, he said, "Get my army! Come on, we're going to protect Rama!" And everyone emptied the palace to go, thinking that I need to go and protect Rama. This was in Treta Yuga. And he's in this Dwapara Yuga. But he's thinking, I have to go and protect Rama. This was his bhava for Rama, such a great devotee. So he wrote one book, Mukundamala Stotra. Srila Prabhupada loved to chant these verses from Mukundamala Stotra. Krishna tvadiya padapankaja panjarantam adyevame vishutumanasa rajahansa prana prayana samaye kapavata pittai kantavaro dhanavido smaratam utaste. That let my mind, he's praying, Mahārāja Kulashekar Alwar, let my mind, the swan of my mind, be entangled in the stem of the lotus feet of my Lord, because I may die any time. Let me go to him, always thinking my mind attached to him. Now I made one other different beautiful prayer, and this is the point. He prayed, Idam shariram parinama peshalam padatyavasya shatajandi jarjaram kemoshiri pitchasi mudda durmate naramayam Krishna rasayanam piba. He said, people think this body is very beautiful, peshalam. And isn't this the consciousness of the populace? The beauty industry, the cosmetic industry, is a multi-billion-dollar industry to make the body attractive. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the most beautiful of all? Oh, you are, you are. So people spend billions of dollars, peshalam, to make the body very attractive. But unfortunately, parinama, body undergoes change. The wrinkles come, the hair falls out, everything sags. And shatajan, before you fall dead, shatashandi jarjaram, all the 100 joints of your body become stiffened with old age. So then Kulashekar Maharaj says something these very strong words. He says, Kimoshiri prichasi mudha durmate, you donkey, you foolish man, do you think there is some medicine to solve this problem of death, of old age? Is there some rasayana, some elixir, some syrup, some gutika? No. But there's one thing, Naramayam Krishna rasayanam piba, that if you take this elixir of the holy name of Krishna, this will solve all your problems. Take this rasayana, the rasayana of Krishna's holy name. So this is our preaching, this is our campaign to society. Madhuram madhurebhyopi, mangalebhyopi mangalam, pavanam pavanebhyopi, haranamayeva kevalam. To take this name of Krishna, of all sweet things, it's the sweetest thing. More than millions of rasgullas, millions of gulab jamans. This thing can satisfy you more than anything else in this world. Most sweetest thing of all sweet, the most purifying thing of all purifying things. The most auspicious thing of all auspicious things, the holy name of Krishna is everything, because it purifies our heart. Bhagavatam says, Nivrittata shar upagiyanamanat bhavosaraschotra manobhiramat ka uttama shloka gunana bhavat kuman virajeta vina pashugnat. Who won't take this name of Krishna? Pashugnat, the butcher or the killer of his own self. Pashu means the animal. That means also our own self. So who won't take this? Who won't take this rasayana of Krishna's name? Only most unfortunate person. So we distribute this holy name of Krishna. You encourage people, chant this. And why do we spend lakhs and crores of rupees to print books, to build temples, to distribute prasadam? For this reason. To get for that sacred day when some fortunate person picks up a japamala and begins to chant the holy name of Krishna. We're the Hare Krishna people. This is what we do. There's a nice story. My esteemed godbrother, Guru Gauranga Prabhu, was preaching in Geneva, Switzerland. And a very big man, a very famous man, some author, thought, let me bring him to meet Srila Prabhupada. So they arranged, and he didn't, because of his position in society, Guru Gauranga Prabhu didn't think he'd even come. But he said, yes, I'll come. So he came into Prabhupada's room, and Prabhupada asked him, so you have any question? And the man said, no. So Prabhupada pulled out harmonium, and he just began to chant intensely, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. For 20 minutes, half an hour, he just sang Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He folded up the harmonium, done. Then he said, this is what we do. This is what we do. Because this is what we do. This is Hare Krishna. Why are we preaching? Why are we opening temples? Why are we distributing prasadam? Why do we distribute books? To convince people, to purify people, to make their dull brain that is like stone, to make the animal like man wake up and chant Krishna's name. Jeev jago, gaura chandra bole, kotanidda jao maya pisha chira kole. Bhaktivinoda Thakur sang this song. Wake up. Lord Chaitanya is singing. Wake up. And do what? Chant Krishna's name. Because this is the process. And it says, kalir doshinade rajan, eko yasti mahadgunan, kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sangha param brajan. In this age, what is the process of religion? So many faulty things in this age. Faults in politics, faults in the water we drink, the air we breathe, in relationships. Everywhere we look, faults. But one good thing, eko yasti mahadguna, one thing, just by chanting Krishna's name. Mukta sangha param brajan. We go back to Godhead. Such a simple thing. Just by singing, by dancing, by eating. Prabhupada said cultural conquest. Cultural conquest. Everyone loves drama, good food, good music, singing, dancing. So we introduce these things to society. And by this, society can be changed. By this, Kali Yuga can be pushed back by introducing Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement, as we understood it from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So this is Hare Krishna movement. Don't misunderstand what is the purpose of my movement. Don't be deviated. All of us Prabhupada disciples, we're all old men now. How long can we stay? This year I turned 70 years old. Mishra Bhagwan Prabhu, what is your age? 64. He's the youngest, he's just a youngest. How long can we stay? I have godbrothers, Rupanuga Prabhu is 84 years old. How long can we stay? In a few short years, there's no more Prabhupada disciples. And this responsibility of introducing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord to the masses of people all over this world, Prithiviti Jata Nagaradi Gram Sarvadrik Pachor Hoibe Mornam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted this. Who will make it happen? Who opened the door? Who slashed through the jungles of Kali Yuga to make it possible? Srila Prabhupada. Is there any doubt what we're supposed to be doing? What our family business is? To introduce this chanting of Krishna's name. Because this is the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is his external mission. Internal mission is Goloka, Manjari Bhav. This is a fact, but how to get to that? Through this medium. Yata yata gora padara vinde vindeti bhaktin kriti punya rasi Tatato totsarpati vidyakasmat radha padam bhova sudamburachi. You want this, Gopi Bhava, Radha Dasyam? This is the means. Pushing on, Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By manifesting external mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the internal bhava that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered to the world, Krishna Prema Pradayate, becomes available to us. Don't misunderstand this. This is your responsibility, because in due course of time we're all gone. You willing to do that? Silence? Are you willing? Thank you. Vancha kopati pischa kripa sindhivevacham dhitanam pābhimanyava vaishnavyo namo namah. Anyone has any comment or question? Yes, Prabhuji?
Sorry, you spoke a lot about the spreading of the holy name, etc. And something that I've encountered, and it's an offense I've committed a couple of times, and I'm not entirely sure where the line is it's an offense to instruct a faithless person on the glories of chanting of the holy names. How does one identify and avoid that offense?
That if they don't care to listen to you. See, this is another thing I meant to mention about our preaching work. We talked about positive side. There's a negative side to preaching also. Don't preach beyond your pay grade, number one, and don't preach beyond their pay grade to understand. I was invited by an associate to a program. He's not an ISKCON devotee. He's a Gaudiya sannyasi. But he says, come to my program. We're celebrating Ram Navami. I said, okay, let's go. So after the program, he's preaching to one young man who happened to be traveling around India. He's not a devotee. So he's preaching to this man, and he's talking about Madanakya Mahabhav, Radharani's Madanakya Mahabhav, Mohan Praniya, all this esoteric Madanakya Mahabhav. He's not even a devotee. What do you understand what you're saying? We should preach what people can understand. Another time I was sitting at Sunday feast. There's a new couple there in Denver, Colorado. I thought, well, let me sit down and talk to them. So before I could start conversation, one Mataji plops herself down in front of them. They're brand new people, first time to the temple, and starts saying, hi, I want to tell you about Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. Krishna is blue, and Radharani is golden. And they become one person, and that's Lord Chaitanya. And these people are looking at her like, what are you talking about? Technically speaking, did she say anything wrong? No. Krishna's Ganisham, Megasham, Shan Sundar, Radharani Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi. Technically she didn't say, but is this how you approach a new person? You sit down with a new person, hi, where are you from? How's the food? Have you been here before? If you preach beyond their capacity to understand, you're preaching the glories of the holy name to someone who cannot understand it. Give them something they can digest. Otherwise, or another time, one devotee was giving Sunday feast lecture. They're sitting in the Vyasa, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, and no meat eating. This is what it means to be a devotee. Does it sound attractive? It's true. This is one of our messages. But when people become a little sane, when their consciousness is awakened sufficiently to appreciate the value of sattvic lifestyle, Srila Prabhupada didn't mention these principles for 1 full year. Let them become sane. So when people come, or sometimes people come, and you know, we don't eat onions and garlic, and we don't worship demigods. And the person thinks, well, I do all that, and I don't follow their principles either. I guess there's no place for me in your society. So Prabhupada said, the ability to preach is a blessing. It's not like picking a fruit off a tree. Yes, I'll have that. I'll be a preacher. You have to know what to say and what not to say, according to your audience. So preaching to the faithless means give them something they can digest, that they can appreciate. Sometimes it may mean just talk about compassion, or peace, or vegetarianism. Something that's universally acceptable in human society. If they can't appreciate more than that, don't give them more. Otherwise, you become guilty of preaching the glories of the holy name to the faithless. Is it okay? Thank you. Next question.
Thank you.
Nishra Bhagwan Prabhu.
Is it an impediment to give people Vedic culture, like you said, you know, more than what they can handle? Should they just be taught just to add Krishna to their lives, just chant Hare Krishna, and maybe later follow principles? When is it an impediment to preach Vedic culture?
That's a controversial question in our society today. Because we're building one building here, we call it what? Temple of the Vedic Planetarium. But we have devotees preaching, we don't follow Vedic culture. Like, hello, what did Prabhupada present all over the world to the Africans, the Americans, the Chinese, the Europeans, the Australians, the Mexicans? Vedic culture. Do a folio search. He mentions Vedic culture hundreds of times, because that's what we teach. But the art of preaching is how to package it. And this is the answer to your question. How to package the principles of Vedic culture in such a way that people can appreciate it. Because he mentioned there was a discussion, you were probably aware, back in the early days, we'd go out on Harinam Sankirtan and book distribution, shaven-headed dhoti tilak. And devotees started thinking, well, if I wear a hat, or wear a wig, or wear street clothes, regular karmi clothes, then maybe that would facilitate our book distribution. So it was a controversy. And Prabhupada mentions that we can accept those principles that facilitate the distribution of Krishna consciousness. I'm paraphrasing. So Vedic culture is not static, it's dynamic. But we have to understand how to package it, and this is what's going on in America. In Russia, people are joining like everything. In America, in Delhi, there's 17 temples, big temples. Kurukshetra is coming up, Rohini's coming up, Jamnanagar is coming up, Dwarka is coming up. Big, huge temples just in Delhi. ISKCON's on fire in India. But you go to America, there's like 2 devotees at Mangalarti counting the pujari. Because we haven't understood how to package Vedic culture, to be free from fanaticism, how to attract people to the inestimable value of Vedic culture, how to give it to people, how to present it so they're attracted. So I don't have the answer to that, but I'm presenting the problem, if that helps you at all. If I knew the answer, I'd go to preach in America, but I live in India, so. Janmashtami Prabhu.
Regarding this question about, how to discriminate in preaching, and avoid committing the offense of preaching to the faithless. One thing that I found, November and December, I was just coming back from Mayapur, and I was distributing books with Ram Roy's Harinam party in New York, and it was the cold time of year, so they were working subway stations. And I was distributing books. And the way I would decide who to approach, I would see someone going back and forth with the kirtan, and say, oh, he's a good candidate. And it was amazing how many books went out. And I would sell multiple books to one person, and if they were really into the kirtan, I could tell this person's a good candidate.
Smart.
Going further. And anyway, that was the point.
Oh, good, good.
There are a lot of Harinams going on here. So Jivanath will love me for saying this, but if you want to get a lot of books out, just pick out those people that are the most enthusiastically responding to the Harinam, and they'll likely take the books.
We have book distributors that accompany the Harinam program every evening. I don't know their names, but every day they're there. In the blazing heat, in the freezing cold, they're there. But the Harinam, last night's Harinam was so ecstatic. Jivanath is doing his Jivanath thing. And 200 people are transfixed with their arms in the air. Ananda bole, bahutule, haribol, haribol. And people are taking some books. But even a broader appeal can be there in Harinam Sankirtan. Because books are for who? Thoughtful people, intellectual people. If the classes follow by our preaching, intellectual presentation of Krishna consciousness in our books, the masses will follow. We're after the class, and the mass will follow. So book distribution is very important. And Janmashtami Prabhu is such a great soul, dedicated his life to book distribution. He did a little stint temple president got distracted from book distribution. Yes, Prabhu. Okay, 3 minutes. I got chastised just last time for being over time. So I'm going to be strict this time. 9 o'clock.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji, for your class. Prabhuji, in the Purport, it is written that, but he, Kali, could not do satisfactorily due to the presence of Mahārāja Parīkṣit. That is the way of good government. So we see that in India and outside of India in the world, we do not see the good government. So does it mean that the young generation, young devotees are not interested to join government services, the Kshatriya class, Kshatriya Varna? Is it the reason?
People will come in course of time. I mean, there's hope in India. There's Modi and Yogi. There's hope in India. Of course, there are politicians amongst the devotees, but devotees amongst the politicians. So there's hope in India. But this whole discussion about Varnashram Dharma, which isn't in the scope of this presentation. But people will graduate. We're born, Krishna says, Bhagavatam says, we're born with particular nature. So naturally someone will gravitate towards Kshatriya type activity. Someone would gravitate towards intellectual life, money life, serving life. So it's not that we create. Krishna says, Maya Shrishtam, I've created this. It's not that we're creating Varnashram. Krishna created Varnashram. We simply have to organize and encourage people who have particular nature, God-given nature that they're born with. You can't, in English they say, you can't make a purse out of a sow's ear. So you can't make a Brahman if someone doesn't have Brahminical qualities. He's born with that. Guna karma vibhagasha. What guna, what karma is he born with? So we encourage people in this way, in Varna and in Ashram. And they'll naturally come forward. But we have to show people what are the rules. For example, Grihastha lives with a woman in an apartment. Woman lives with a man in an apartment, together. And by that, they make progress in spiritual life. Sannyasi can't spend 1 minute alone in a room with a woman. This is against his dharma. For one, it's poison. One thing, it's nectar. So we have to introduce the principles of Varnashram, of Varna and Ashram. Brahminical life means patan patan yajan yajan dana patigraha. That you study Shastra and you teach Shastra. You worship the deity and you teach other people to worship the deity. You teach other people how to be Brahminically cultured. And you accept donation and you give donation. Not these chobe pandits, that sit back, give them 10 rupees and they'll eat a laddu. Not this type of Brahmin. Cheating Brahmins, real Brahmins, who are guna, 9 qualities, shamodama tapasocham kantir ābhimanyava jnana vijnanam astikyam brahma karma svabhavajam. 9 qualities and 6 activities. That's a Brahmin. So every ashram, every varna has its rules, and our business is to teach that. What is a Brahmin? What is a Kshatriya? There's no Kshatriyas today, practically speaking. Like these so-called Kshatriyas, they sit in some secluded place pressing buttons to wage warfare. Where is Yudhishthira? Where is Arjuna? Where is Shivaji? There's no Kshatriyas in Kali Yuga. What is our weapon? to change society? Not Yudhishthira's sword, a weapon of Harinam, Sankirtan, to kill the demoniac influence. Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatar. Lord Chaitanya came for this, to uplift society by this holy name, Sankirtan. This is our philosophy. Okay, 9 o'clock. Hare Krishna. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur.